welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. We just spent the whole summer covering the 18 strongest alien armies in sci-fi. And for those who stuck through it all, huge payoff coming today. Just kidding, but we are going to announce the results. Oh, and by the way, guess what? Al and I are going back to Asia to make some more trouble. We are legends there, known for burning down entire villages, but accidentally, so no big deal. But we still have plenty of great content coming up in the next few weeks while we're gone. So hit that damn subscribe button and notification bell. You don't want to miss more of my face, do you? By the way, if you want to be able to follow along with all the dumb stuff me and Alan do in Asia, you can follow me on Instagram at @TheAmericanBen. Anyway, on to the stuff that y'all came here for, the best and worst of alien armies. But let's remember, first, they're all aliens, and so they're all losers. Keep in mind, all we did was present the evidence. Y'all voted, so these results were up to you. So if you don't like any of the outcomes, be angry at yourself. #AmericanBen did nothing wrong. Okay, in 18th and last place, with an abysmal score out of 5 of 2.57, we have the Arachnids from Starship Troopers. The Arachnids lost by a mile. Hey, they're strong in numbers, they're adaptable, and live infinitely long natural lives. But when it comes to hive mind races, they're just not that impressive. They're extremely simple-minded, if minded at all, and have no semblance of a competent navy. They're also very easily killed. I also think that something that played a factor in their low rating is that we've seen them in live action. The violence and brutality they commit against humans is thus all too real and tragic to witness. Ultimately, I think the reason they got a lot of ones was hate voting. In 17th place, with a very poor score of 2.91, we have the Borg from Star Trek, and I'm going to let our resident Star Trek expert, British Ben, explain this result.
Hey guys, well sadly the Borg came in second to last, 17 out of 18 alien species, with a score of just 2.91. Very, very sad. I think it was partly due to the fact that I gave 10 flaws in the video and I didn't give 5 flaws, 5 advantages. I blame American Ben for that. He didn't make the format clear for me. But anyway, I am surprised. I mean, the Borg, they're a terrifying cybernetic species that will assimilate you. Resistance is futile. I mean, look at that. Wouldn't that give you nightmares? I think they're pretty formidable. So perhaps if I had done 5 flaws, 5 advantages, they would have got a higher score. I think we need a rematch. But anyway, there will be more Star Trek videos coming on the Generation Films channel. We did one about Voyager the other day, and we will have another one about the Enterprise E coming out later this month. So stay tuned, guys.
Great, thanks Ben. You're a true hero of humanity. Even though you're British and your ancestors have spent a large portion of history conquering the rest of humanity. We hope that in the future, your experience will come in handy when conquering alien worlds.
Listen, he's okay, he's fine, he's friendly. His name's Paul.
In 16th place, we break into the threes with this one. With a score of 3.11, we have the Daleks from Doctor Who. The Daleks are unified and committed to their cause as their hate is artificially purified. They have strong armor as well and can time travel. On the other hand, they don't have much imagination or creativity and don't do all that well with stairs. They're kind of like sociopathic R2-D2s. I think something that played into them coming in near the bottom is that they just aren't that mobile. They're bulky and slow, and the creature inside the machine is rather weak and vulnerable. In 15th place, with a score of 3.43, this one was a little surprising to me as far as coming in this low, we have the Xenomorphs from Aliens. Xenomorphs are some of the most brutal and vicious aliens. They tear humans apart at times and at others use them to breed. They are physically dominant creatures and they can adapt the best traits of other species by using such species as reproductive hosts. However, while I can't say they're completely devoid of intelligence, they're still feral and somewhat dumb. They're also fairly vulnerable to fire and firearms. It's not that hard to kill them as long as one is armed. Of course, they also have no technology and no ships of their own. In 14th place, with a score of 3.55, we have the Covenant from Halo. The Covenant are an alien race that mixes viciousness with sentience. They are physically superior, and yet their technology is some of the most powerful in any universe. They also have some of the most efficient FTL technology, thanks to the Forerunners, of course. The Covenant do have a few well-known problems, though. They're religious zealots, for one. Sometimes religion can be used to radicalize an alien race into a violent fighting force, and this applies here. But at the same time, religion is also the way that the Covenant leaders manipulate the masses. The result is that from top to bottom, Covenant society is filled with corruption and disharmony. Additionally, because Covenant tech is based on Forerunner blueprints, the Covenant themselves actually cannot innovate very well, meaning other races may catch up to their technological prowess at some point. They're also not the most adept tactically. In 13th place, just barely ahead of the Covenant with a score of 3.6, we have the Yuuzhan Vong from Star Wars. We're going to go to Alan in his bunker to explain this one. Alan?
So the Yuuzhan Vong got 3.6, which is pretty low. That places them at 13 out of 18, I believe, on this list. And shame on you, all these Star Wars fans. I'm going to find you and I'm going to burn your houses down. Yeah, I'm just joking. I mean, even amongst Star Wars fans, Yuuzhan Vong are not very well received. Some people just don't like them. They're part of Legends lore. They're aliens from another galaxy, and, you know, we don't like outsiders. They did have really advanced biotech, and they had a very rigid, I think, warrior culture, which is a plus and a minus. I think it's also a really big weakness because when they're not fighting other people, they don't really know what to do with themselves. So that is definitely a huge weakness. Also, most of their technology it's not a very flexible technology, and they basically reach the limit by the time they've reached the Star Wars galaxy. They can't really create new technology. They just can recover old technology. So this is not a race of aliens that can, you know, really progress from where they are. So, I get it.
Thanks, Alan, and thanks for everything you do to fight for humanity in the world of video games. Your thumbs will save us all. In 12th place, with a score of 3.62, we have the Dark Eldar from Warhammer 40k. The Dark Eldar's culture is one that desensitizes them to the most horrible violence imaginable, and teaches them to be constantly on guard and ready for war. Their countless creatures and technology are all designed not just to kill, but to torture and mutilate their enemies. They have elite specialized warriors of all types, including their witch gladiators, and they have extremely advanced battle tactics. However, the Dark Eldar also lack numbers, as they didn't start with that many and can't reproduce easily. They're also a fairly factionalized society rife with distrust and disunity. Also, as a few of you pointed out in that video, the fact that a lot of their warriors and tech are specialized for torture actually isn't such a great thing as far as being a powerful army goes. It may help to spread fear among enemies, but overall it's best to have warriors and tech that are proficient at killing most efficiently, rather than at torturing enemies, which is a waste of time. In 11th place, with a score of 3.68, we have the Craft World Eldar, so y'all are pretty consistent. The Eldar are perhaps the most powerful psychics among all alien races, and not by way of hive mind. They are each individually powerful psychics. There are a lot of good things about the Eldar. They have excellent tech, ships, weapons, and vehicles. Their technology is living, a combination between nature and engineering, and all of it is inextricably linked to their psychic abilities. This makes their tech supernatural and capable of being manipulated by the Eldar based on situational need. The Eldar's problem is that they are intergalactic drama queens. They are victims of their emotions and inclined to extremes and vice. This makes their society incredibly fragile. A bit of excess can send their souls into the arms of Slaanesh, the god of chaos, and the outcome will be the crumbling of their entire race and dead hookers everywhere. In 10th place, we're at the middle spots now, with a score of 3.69.01 ahead of the Eldar, we have Predators. Predators live long natural lives, have powerful weapons and tech, are strong, are disciplined, and love to hunt. That said, they're arrogant, they don't cooperate with their brethren much, preferring to hunt as rogues, and don't have much of a larger goal of conquest outside of hunting for sport. Predators as an army aren't that impressive, but one-on-one they're nearly unbeatable, having been felled only by Arnold and Chris Hansen. In 9th place, with a score of 3.82, we have a hive mind right in the middle of our list, the Zerg. The shitty Tyranids, the Zerg, have an excellent collective psyche that drives them to pursue perfection in the same way other races pursue survival. Their DNA is designed to produce strong mutations that keep the Zerg evolving into a stronger and stronger army. They're also easily sustained, are durable, can regenerate, and for a hive mind aren't that idiotic. Their biggest downsides are that they lack technology and aren't that strong individually. In 8th place, our last non-4 score, with a score of 3.9, we have the Cybertronians, aka the Transformers. Transformers combine the best of robots and aliens. They are gigantic and powerful and can replace parts as needed, but at the same time are sentient and highly intelligent, even more so than humans on average. They live for millions of years, have built-in weapons they can wield with mastery, and of course they can transform into all sorts of vehicles, objects, and creatures with the full abilities of whatever they transform into, whether helicopter or car. No one is sure they can really be killed either. The worst that can really be said about them is that they depend on fuel to survive, not an abundant resource for them. They've also been split among Autobot and Decepticon for ages, meaning that they are their own worst enemy. Oh, and they are overly affectionate towards hipsters. In 7th place with a score of 4.04, we have the Protoss from StarCraft. Despite the fact that they annoy me, probably my own insecurities that I can't talk telepathically, they really do deserve this. The Protoss are pretty badass, and the Dark Templar are cool as shiitake mushrooms. The Protoss have incredible psionic powers, allowing them to read minds, and combined with some of their tech, they can seamlessly communicate with each other across space. They have massive, terribly powerful ships, and have mastered FTL travel. Many of the Protoss' disadvantages swing both ways. They have pros as well as cons, such as their robots, which make for powerful additions to the battlefield, but are also a threat to rise up and rebel. The Protoss' worst flaw is probably that they aren't good at reproducing and are facing a declining population. In 6th place, with a score of 4.18, we have a race that many of you thought would win, the Tyranids. The Tyranids are a vicious, feral hive mind race, but they wear hive mind well. They are a hive with a navy, as their powerful hive fleets are made up of biological starships grown from organic biomatter harvested from the planets they consume. The Tyranids' numbers are also impressive, even for the 40k universe, where armies come in the billions. The Tyranids can also imprison planets in fear with their shadow in the warp, a psychic signal they send out that blankets entire star systems, disrupting travel and communication through the warp, thus cutting their enemies off from all help and hope and sending them into despair. They are still a hive mind though, and as such aren't the smartest aliens and don't have much in the way of tactics. In 5th place with a score of 4.26, we have the Reapers from Mass Effect. The Reapers are their own fleet, as they are ships themselves, and thus they themselves have the powers of massive starships and are capable of FTL travel. Their mass relay network, with the Citadel at the center, is one of the most brilliant traps in all of aliendom. They also have a special ability to indoctrinate anyone in their proximity for extended periods of time into supporting their cause. The only time when Reapers are really vulnerable is when they hibernate, but you'd still have to get to them in dark space to take advantage of their slumber. In 4th place with a score of 4.35, we have the Flood, the highest rated hive mind on this list. The Flood need to consume other races to perpetuate their race, and as such they have an insatiable appetite for life, making them a vicious and highly motivated army, and they improve through infestation. The more they conquer, the better they get, as they absorb the intelligence of those they infect into their collective mind. The Flood seek out the most intelligent life forms to infect, and thus continually evolve to be more and more powerful. They also don't need much resilience in harsh conditions, as they can adapt environments to suit their needs by releasing their spores into the atmosphere. If they had to have a flaw, it'd be that they're killable, but their numbers are plentiful anyway. I suppose they'll eventually also consume everything and thus have nothing left to consume. In 3rd place, with an exceptional score of 4.41, it's your boys, the Orcs from 40k. They have numbers, they're brutal, and they love and live for war. Like the Flood, they can adapt worlds to themselves and thus can survive anywhere. They of course have a collective psychic ability which allows them to make true whatever they believe to be true. If they believe a gun is powerful, then it will be. No competent science or engineering needed. This of course means that all Orc weapons and tech are unlimitedly awesome. And Orcs never have a bad day, by the way. They definitely have the best attitudes on this list. They don't question the reasons for the woes they experience, they just fight on. They just... Orcs are definitely the anti-millennials. It's good they have some flaws like being morons with little strategic planning, because if they didn't, there would be no hope for any of their enemies. In 2nd place with a score of 4.52. Now please note, any score above 4.5 is very rare for any poll we've ever done on this channel. We have the Forerunners. The Forerunners are a godlike alien race. They are probably smarter than any race on this list. The Covenant is on this list themselves, and everything they have is thanks to the Forerunners. Forerunners have figured out artificially induced biological transformation and thus can genetically engineer their species to be as strong and able as they wish. They are basically perfect cyborg aliens, as their armor contains advanced AI that basically makes the Forerunners sentient computers. The Forerunners have mastered artificial intelligence and really all technological innovation. They're so advanced they can manipulate light into solid structures and build ships out of it. Powerful ships that can destroy planets while being partly composed of light. Then the Halo Ray speaks for itself, of course. A weapon so powerful it can wipe out all life in the galaxy in a single firing. I came up with some flaws in the video we did on the Forerunners, but they really don't have any significant ones. Okay, after all the weeks of waiting and voting and watching videos, we are down to our winner. And despite the Forerunners having a score of 4.52, an amazing score, it wasn't even close. The Forerunners score is actually closer to the 5th place score, the Reapers, than it is to 1st place. Y'all have spoken, and with a staggering score of 4.85, the closest to a perfect score we've ever seen on this channel, we have the Necrons. 91% of the votes for the Necrons were 5s, and I can't disagree. They're just beyond overpowered. They are unbreakable, immortal demons. The Necrons are made up of a god metal, Necrodermis, that is not just damage resistant, but damage immune. And speaking of gods, the Necrons are so powerful, they have defeated gods in battle and enslaved them as their eternal weapons. Their phase technology makes their entire army Shadow Warriors, giving them the ability to appear out of nowhere or disappear into thin air. They can even phase parts of themselves in and out of battle, making them nearly impossible to hit, and giving them the ability to bypass all enemy armor and shields. Their ships have inertialess drives, which allow them to travel interstellar distances without entering the warp. But even so, most people believe that their ships can simply use phase technology to teleport anywhere in the universe in an instant. The array of different Necron warriors and machines are as terrifying and powerful as imaginable. And their weapons, well, their weapons consist of, among others, an orb that contains the explosive power of a star, and a micro-sized hologram of the galaxy that can be used to destroy parts of the galaxy with a simple touch. The Necrons are an alien race you create when you just want to be a jackass. They have no equals. Okay, well that's it. That's the video, and that is our Strongest Alien series. Thank you so much for following along throughout the entire summer, tuning in and casting your votes. A job well done. Definitely give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed this series. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of all the different rankings, what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. If you just want to say you hate me, I'll take that too. I'm just glad you're participating. Oh, and if you want to follow along with me and Alan and Asia, don't forget to follow my Instagram at @TheAmericanBen. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.